Hey guys, it's Karl. It is Apple Keynote Day, and this is all the new news around the latest iPhone. Let's hop into all the updates. And as expected, the iPhone 13. The first thing that you'll see is the camera position has now changed from the two kind of camera sensors on top of each other to a bit more of a horizontal, or I guess diagonal layout. So same flat edge design, which I think all of you know I am more partial to, rather than the rounded corners like the Apple Watch. I don't know why they didn't make that more squarish. It's still got the ceramic shield coating, which we can talk about later, but that should help with drop resistance, but it does scratch a lot easier. 5 new colors and a smaller notch. Thank goodness. It's taken Apple the longest time to come up with a smaller notch. We've got a larger battery, which we'll have to do a full teardown to see what the actual milliamp hour is. 28% brighter with a peak nit brightness of 1200. We've still got the two different models, the classic iPhone 13 and of course the iPhone 13 mini. Chip-wise, we are not getting an M1 chip like we saw in a lot of leaks and rumors. We are upgrading the A14 to, naturally, the A15 Bionic. It's got a 6-core GPU, 2 high-performance cores, and 4 high-efficiency cores. It's the fastest CPU in any smartphone, 50% faster compared to the leading competition. That's of course very Apple to say that. It's got a 4-core GPU for all you mobile gamers, so 30% faster graphics, once again, compared to the leading competition. I'm not too sure how that's compared to the iPhone 12. Camera-wise, there weren't really any big upgrades coming to the actual hardware. They didn't actually mention the sensor used in the wide camera sensor, but it is better with computational photography. So you'll get more light. Of course, Apple takes the best photos in some of their sample ones. We'll test that more when it comes into the studio. 12 megapixel ultra wide, and we now have cinematic mode for video. And I will say iPhones have always been the industry leaders in smartphone video. So if this new cinematic mode makes that even better, I'm definitely all for that. I will say though, despite all of the updates coming to the iPhone 13 with the brighter display, with the faster camera, we actually get 1.5 hours of more battery on the mini and 2.5 hours longer on the standard iPhone 13 versus the standard 12. So I will say that's pretty impressive. That's due to the efficiencies of the A15 Bionic and of course that larger battery. Cannot wait for iFixit to tear this thing down and see what size we've got inside. And thankfully, they are expanding the storage to 128 gigs. We did not see the 1 terabyte option, but you can still get 512 gigs. And that is kind of iPhone 13 mini and the iPhone 13. From the initial spec sheet, like I said, is it worth the upgrade? I think a lot of these are just very minor updates. The design is still very similar. Yes, we have the smaller notch, a couple millimeters smaller. But my initial impressions, if you already own the iPhone 12, I think you can probably get by without making this upgrade. But more important news to my daily driver, here is the new iPhone 13 Pro and 13 Pro Max. So the iPhone 13 Pro has a very similar design to the 12 Pro, so it still has the stainless steel banding around the outsides, 4 different colors, the new Sierra Blue, which is, to me, looks like a bit like baby blue. Bigger battery, which I'm always a fan of, and we of course have the iPhone 13 Pro Max, which is usually the one I pick. Chipset wise, it copies what we see in the standard iPhone 13, so it's coming with the A15 Bionic. Instead though, it does have a 5-core GPU, so 50% faster graphics. This will of course come with that line, the fastest graphics on any smartphone. A new Super Retina XDR display, 1000 nits of brightness, and finally, we have Pro Motion coming to the iPhone Pros. Now, this adaptive display isn't anything new. We've had this on Android phones forever, but we finally have a faster display coming to an iPhone model. Sadly, it didn't come to the cheaper and more standard iPhone 13, but at least we see it in the iPhone Pros. We've actually got a change to the actual camera lenses. So to the wide, it's an f1.5 aperture, 2.2 times improvement to low light. For the ultra wide, a 1.8 aperture. There's a 92% performance in low light, and the telephoto, so that's the 77mm. I don't really see the changes in this one, but it still has the same 3 times optical zoom. We've got photographic styles, which from what my understanding is just advanced filters that you can select from Apple. You can define these styles and kind of tweak them to create your own custom one. So yeah, I'll test this out more in depth when I do get the camera in person. Video-wise, a lot of the same features are coming from the standard 13 to the 13 Pro, but later this fall, Apple hasn't really given us a definitive date, we will now have ProRes video coming to the Pro models. Battery-wise, we're seeing improvements, which I'm always a fan of. So on the iPhone 13 Pro, we're seeing 1.5 hours better, and on the Pro Max, we're getting 2.5 hours better than the last gen 12 Pro Max. So that's maybe the biggest thing, because I do find at the end of the day, my iPhone does kind of die out on battery, so that is a welcome upgrade. And of course, that huge 120 hertz display. I know that we've seen that on every other phone. It's taken the longest time to come to the iPhone, but we now have that on the 13 Pro Max. Just like the leak said, we now get a 1 terabyte storage option, which is huge. I can only imagine how much that's gonna cost. You can pre-order them from Friday. Anyways, that has been my Apple event coverage. I have a couple videos which I'll leave linked around here: iPad, watch, and of course the iPhones. It's been a long keynote. Let me know which ones you guys are interested in grabbing, and make sure you're subbed to the channel, as I will be getting all in the studio as soon as possible to give you your very first look. We'll catch the rest of you then. Peace.